And I appreciate everything a lot of you do for the city and the others that are interested in the city. So with that, if you'll please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the many blessings you send our way. We thank you for the opportunity we have to live and work here in Calhoun and Gordon County. We ask that you continue to bless the city of Calhoun, the employees of the city, the folks that are involved in our school system, both the school board, all the administration, the teachers, and the students as well. We ask that you be in a special way with our troops around the country and around the world. Bring those who are in harm's way home safely soon. Be with us now as we deliberate the business of the city. Help us to make decisions that would be pleasing to you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In your packet, everybody's been presented with a copy of tonight's proposed agenda. If there are no additions or corrections, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Also in your packet, there's a copy of the regular minutes of April the 24th. If there are no additions or corrections to those minutes, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Under council comments, we'll begin with Councilman Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the water, wastewater, and engineering departments, the 2-inch galvanized line replacement project is approximately 75% complete. Thor Drive, Hunt Subdivision, Spring Valley, Davis Road, Edwards Street, Fox Street, Short Street, and West Street are all complete. Cherry Hill Drive, Sherwood Drive, Highland Court, and Valley Circle are nearing completion. And the next proposed sections are Lewis Drive, Cindy Lane, Kirk Drive. Those are all off of Peters Street. Beamer Circle, Overland Drive, and Emery Lane off of Beamer Road. Let's see if there's any other highlights here that we really... the Pisgah Drainage Area Sewer Replacement bid opening was back January 4th. IPR Southeast was the low bidder at $1,029,191. The project was budgeted at $1,045,002. The contractor has completed the CCTV work and will begin pipe bursting the week of May 8th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is this week. Airport sanitary sewer relocation, relocating approximately 4,500 feet of sewer main to accommodate the airport expansion. State Route 156 water main relocation to do with the GDOT Railroad Bridge at Ranger, out right near the 156 and Highway 411 intersection. GDOT has contacted us regarding the attachment of the new water main to the proposed bridge, and that continues in development. Projects in engineering, conceptual design on sewer, Blackwood Creek trunk sewer replacement, Yarborough Street replacement sewer, and Louise Avenue, Cherry Street, and Florence Avenue sewer replacement. On the water side, Bellwood Road water transmission main, Curtis Parkway water main, Reeves Station water main, and the second interconnect with Pickens County. Water treatment for the month of April, treated 275,141,450 total gallons, or that was the total gallons withdrawn. That's a daily average of 9,161,682 gallons. Had 115,851 from the wells, and 42.1% of the total production came from Brittany Drive. Rainfall for the month of April was 6.2 inches. That's the highest so far in any month this year. And the month-to-date average, or the year-to-date monthly average is 4.86 inches compared to 2.56 inches for the year last year. So rain continues to be a good blessing for us right now. Hopefully that will continue as we get to what is normally the hot, dry part of the year. Wastewater treatment, the average daily flow for April was 5.383, which is the highest so far this year and above the monthly average of 4.496. The water distribution monthly report, there were 272 total work orders complete. These included 15 water connections installed, 21 water service leaks repaired, 15 water main leaks repaired, 15 calls to investigate potential leaks, 15 new meters installed, 162 water meters changed out, 4 calls to check water pressure, 3 water meter yokes replaced, 11 water meter cutoff valves replaced, 2 new fire hydrants were installed, 2 fire hydrants were repaired, 9 calls to flush lines, 4 yards or roadway edges repaired due to previous work on water service in the proximity of those. There were 3,580 feet of new 8-inch water line installed. 519 utility locates responded to, 49 utility locates called in for work orders, 19 emergency utility locates called in for repairs. And that 3,580 feet of 8-inch ductile iron piping was along Pleasant Hill Road. It included several new connections and the tie up to dead-end 8-inch lines. It also improves the flow to the northeast corner of the county, and that was done back on April 4th. The police department, for the month of April, anticipated fines were $87,665. Fines collected from previous cases was $44,974. There were 607 cases, including 171 state warrants, 2 search warrants, 83 speeding tickets, 7 DUIs, 10 juvenile complaints, and 334 others that generally involve automobile problems of one sort and another, improper tag, no tag, failure to have proper insurance, those kinds of things that come up as a result of traffic stops or maybe are the cause of the traffic stop. Some of the other reports or numbers that we normally have, the 911 service is putting in a new computer system, and so some of the numbers like our medical assists, escorts, incident reports, those things are not available right now as they make their switch over, but we will have that again in the future. Court and probation statistics, cases from the police department, there were 425, that's the most in any month so far this year. 55 cases dropped or dismissed, a total of 292 court cases. Court cases, fines and fees anticipated $37,590. There were 185 bond forfeitures totaling $11,825. 18 probation cases and probation payments totaled $12,199. Fire department, the fire suppression division had 181 total reported calls for service. The responses to calls included 2 fire incidents totaling $9,500 in estimated fire damage, 131 emergency medical services, 6 hazardous condition incidents not involving fire. These are leaks, spills, electric hazards, and other hazardous conditions that don't involve injuries. There were 10 service calls for water leaks or to assist other agencies with non-emergency calls, 27 good intent calls, 5 false alarms, and then additional activities. They assisted with Barbecue Boogie and Blues Festival, having crews stationed downtown for medical duty, Gave out safety education materials, continued flow testing of fire hydrants, and completed all the routine vehicle and station maintenance. The training division completed 685 man-hours of training during the month, and this training included topics, streets and territory, pumping apparatus, and aerial apparatus use. 6 new firefighters are at the midpoint of EMT training, now testing for basic EMT. The advanced EMT section of the class will continue in a couple of weeks and should be complete in the month of August. Fire inspections, public safety education, and code enforcement. There were 101 total reported activities, included 29 annual inspections, 3 new business inspections, 24 requested inspections, 8 follow-ups or re-inspections, 2 burn site inspections, 3 plan reviews, 30 consultations, and 1 illegal burning citation. Then the Public Safety and Codes Division activities, Lieutenant Duvall attended the city safety meeting and site inspections. Inspectors attended the LEPC meeting. Tagged and GPS located fire hydrants put in service at Parks Place. Attended the North Georgia Code Officials Association meeting. And Lieutenant Fox attended the Child Car Seat Technician Recertification class at Whitfield Fire Station 8. Building inspectors, there were a total of 4 new residential permits, 3 residential remodels, 2 commercial HVAC permits, 2 grading permits, and is that about enough? I think, other than digging through some of the detail of the building permits and everything, I think that pretty well concludes what I have, Mr. Mayor.
And thank you very much for that report. Councilman Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the electric department for the month of April, well, we'll say May, because May is National Electric Safety Month. The city of Calhoun would like to help promote electric safety for our customers and highlight some of the common electrical dangers faced around our houses. Consider the cord. Inspect appliance and extension cords for damage and keep them away from hot and sharp objects. Roughly 3,300 homes have fires originated from each year from extension cords. Exercise caution when using ladders, cleaning or painting near the service drop. Ladders can conduct electricity, keep them at least 10 feet away from the power lines. Don't use electrical appliances or extension cords near pools. Keep balloons, kites, fishing lines, and drones away from overhead power lines and electrical crews. And never touch or go near a downed power line. If you see one, report it. The safety of our community, our customers, and our employees are always the number one of our priority. Electricity is an important part of our lives. We need to use it safely. Without safety is no accident. Work orders in progress or completed for April. 94 created, completed, and closed. We had 2 capital constructions, 26 street and security lighting, work for other departments, 23, 2 new meter sets, 7 meter maintenance replacements, and electric locate tickets processed 196. The city of Calhoun's electric load for April is projected to be 34,900,000 kilowatt hours. And this is about a 1.5% drop from last year, but that's due to the mild winter we had and a little bit less in the industry. But we've had record years lately, and we're kind of tabling out, so that's still a good thing for the city. Also like to announce that Alan McCormick will celebrate 30 years of service for the city of Calhoun on the 18th of this month, so just in 10 days. Both he and the city are looking forward to many more years to come. Telecommunications and GIS. The telecommunications installed 1 new internet and 1 new point-to-point and moved 1 customer to their new location. We added a 95 megabit bandwidth to existing customer circuits. We also have new access system replacement project is 44.5% complete. The water construction started fiber line construction, boring and installing pipe along Deuce Pond and to the Brittany Drive water plant. For the school system, we completed removal of SONET equipment at the central office. They have 2 new node sites remaining. We also added a camera for the customer service service representative so that they'll know if the customer's there waiting and we can get to them at a faster time. We also opened 18 and closed 15 work orders. Under the GIS, that's a Geographic Information System, we used new 2017 parcel data from the county to update our GIS parcel maps. They also attended a U.S. 2020 Census workshop held here in Calhoun. We ran an annual report for the electric department. We had several updates, including the water meter infrastructure data for the water map, physical building addresses for the billing department, updated the fiber map, and we also updated city and GIS websites. We also added pre-planned buildings for our fire department, and we're also added new sections to stormwater mapping. And for the safety report for the month of April, the safety committee met on April 4th, and the topic was vehicle safety inspections. A safety inspection was completed on the 11th of April at the Recreation Department. We had one vehicle accident and one workers' compensation. For the DDA, the director attended the Business Engagement Committee meeting, a Young Professionals meeting, a CVB Tourism meeting, and a Chamber of Commerce booster breakfast. The DDA and the HPC held their regularly scheduled meetings. There were 2 COA approvals. The DDA and the Chamber of Commerce partnered to develop a marketing package for new businesses. The package is currently being distributed. The annual Barbecue Boogie and Blues was a huge success. I hadn't heard from Suzanne on the numbers, but it was actually a bigger turnout. But being a bigger footprint, it was kind of hard to tell. But I know several of us were down there, and it was good eating as always. There was tractor rides, arts and craft vendors, show cruise-in, a petting zoo, and food vendors. Live music by the Kurt Thomas and Fly Betty Band. There was a record crowd, and planning is underway for next year. So the DDA is also working for a few summer events, so be sure to stay tuned with the DDA on those events. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
And thank you very much for that. Councilwoman Paulson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the month of April, the street department completed 32 shop orders and 27 street department work orders. They installed 4 new street signs. They repaired potholes throughout the city. They cut and removed fallen trees from the bike trail, and they also worked the annual Barbecue Boogie and Blue Festival downtown. Our cemetery department was busy. They sold 12 new grave sites, and they just perform their routine maintenance on both cemeteries. The Parks Department, they picked up litter, hauled garbage to the dump, and maintained the records room for us. They patched holes and painted the conference room here at the depot, and it looks really nice. Our animal shelter has been very busy. Of course, they are housing some of the animals for the county. However, they ended up with only 4 dogs at the end of the month and no cats, and they did not euthanize any animals. So definitely, if you're looking for a dog, head out to the animal shelter, and I'm not sure how many animals they're holding for the county. I know last time I was out there, I think they had 9 dogs and 2 cats from the county. Our Calhoun Recycling Center has been busy. They brought in a revenue of a little bit over $2,000, and that was, they brought in 6,000 pounds of cardboard and almost 6,000 pounds of plastic. Our recreation department was busy. Their regular season games began April 10th for baseball and softball. Adult league games will begin April 18th. They've been busy with the tournaments for Calhoun Middle School and Calhoun High School for tennis. They had April 8th and 9th, April 14th and 16th. They also had a community tennis tournament along with April 22nd and through the 30th. They had the STARS program, which met on April 22nd, and they had 11 participants. They have been very busy in the meeting room and the community room. They had April 29th, they had a USA Softball of Georgia, and it was a one-day tournament with 37 teams with an estimated economic impact of over $90,000. So that's very, very impressive. And they have 3 softball tournaments that are coming up in May, and some of those are multiple days. So we'll see what the economic impact is for the month of May. For the Calhoun-Gordon County Library, they had 133 new users. They also had 50 adults in their adult program attendance over the month. And I know that We do have a teacher, I believe, from Calhoun City Schools that goes over there and gives English classes on the weekends. So definitely, if you're interested in that, look that up. And Mayor, that is my report for the month of April.
And thank you for that. And since you just think about it with the recreation, the school board being here, certainly congratulations to the girls' tennis team that finished second in the state. Our other athletic teams have done very well also, the girls and boys soccer. And the baseball team is in the final 8, played 2 games tomorrow, is that correct? And if necessary, another game on Thursday. So that's very good, but I think if I understand it right, there's two teams left, and that's the golf and the baseball for the year. So the athletic teams have done very well, and our congratulations to them as well. And with that, Councilman Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've got a lot of new individuals in the audience tonight. Let me remind everybody, we are streaming live on YouTube, and you can fast forward and get past what you don't want to hear. But as we do budget discussions, there'll be a lot of lengthy discussions on numbers, and you can go back and look at those in detail. The revolving loan, we've got currently almost $3 million in assets loaned out here in the city of Calhoun for existing businesses to create and maintain jobs. We're currently at a disadvantage because we have about $800,000 that needs to be loaned out before September, or a lot of this funding will have to be turned back into the Department of Community Affairs. So if you know anybody in the city limits of Calhoun that has a good idea, entrepreneurship, or a way to create a new job or an opportunity, tell them to see City Hall for the applications for that. The airport will be meeting tomorrow at noon. They're at the airport. The airport authority is made up of city and county members, volunteers in our community that's looking to grow the next phase of economic growth for this community. I think some of you have heard me speak over the last few weeks that there's 2 large projects pending. One is a $5 million project for commercial air hangars. We had a meeting about 3 months ago with a jet company that uses their jets to shuttle products around the region. And they're wanting to house one of those jets at least here in Calhoun. The ad valorem tax on that particular jet is $160,000 a year. So they're looking to borrow $150,000 from the city of Calhoun and $150,000 from the Gordon County Commissioners to do an engineering study, with that being paid back by the FAA. So it's a reimbursable expense, growing our next industry. There's also talk about the possibilities of a shuttle service being in Calhoun to shuttle people flying into Tom B. David that are visiting Barnsley Gardens. And most of you know of that attraction, not in Gordon County, but unbelievably closer to Calhoun than it is to Cartersville. So that's another opportunity for tourism growth that we don't currently have. So they'll be meeting tomorrow to forward that conversation on. The Northwest Georgia Regional Commission, you guys know that I like to put up some statistics. I believe we have those, the unemployment figures for the month. You can see that Gordon County is now at 5%. That's the lowest we have been. We're tied with the regional rate of 5%, but we have slipped past the state rate, which is at 5.1. That hasn't happened in 10 years, I guess. We used to have 3.5% inflation, unemployment. 5 seems to be the new norm. You can see the surrounding communities in blue. Most of those are driven by the metros, Chattanooga to the north and Atlanta down near the south. There are 4 communities that have manufacturing: Gordon County, Murray County, Whitfield County, Bartow, and Floyd to a degree. I'll share more numbers in a minute. But the salaries for those areas, average salary $42,400 in Bartow County, $35,000 in Murray, $42,500 in Whitfield, $41,000 in Floyd, and Gordon County at $38,000. Most of that is attributed to manufacturing jobs, raising the standard income there. Northwest Regional Commission is doing exactly the same thing the Calhoun City Council and probably the Gordon County Commission is doing, as we're starting to balance the budget for 2018 and 17. I serve on the executive board and the finance committee, and we will be meeting tomorrow in Rome to finalize that and present that to the full board that Dr. Michelle Taylor serves as the governor's appointee. And Dr. Taylor, I know all of you know her, but if you would, raise your arm for anybody who doesn't. Again, she is the governor's appointee, representing education, our kids, and things of that nature. So thank you for your service there. We're also required, and Larry Vickery has been heading up this project, is the comp plan that we're going to be doing. We did that in joint service with Gordon County 10 years ago. We're halfway through a 20-year comp plan, so we're taking stock in where we are versus where we thought we would be 10 years ago. I think I shared a few weeks ago, 67% of our stakeholders are no longer here. They've either retired or moved on. So Larry will be getting up a group, as well as Dr. Taylor, Bud Owens from the County Commission, and Dwayne Bowman, private sector, trying to get a good pulse on Calhoun, Gordon County, where we need to be. We are challenged also at the Regional Commission to do a comp plan for the region, for the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. It's 15 counties, multiple cities. I've been appointed to the committee by the U.S. Economic Development Administration to do an assessment. We'll have our first meeting here in Calhoun, May the 17th from 9 to 11. We'll have a follow-up meeting June the 28th, 9 to 11. Both of those will be at the Ag Center over by the Recreation Department. What Paul has put up now is the GMA dashboard. You guys that know me know I like statistics. I like to look at them and see what kind of fruit they bear out. Sharon gave me a heads up that was there. I knew it was there, but had never taken advantage of it. We were talking last meeting about one of the voting points that's going to be on the ballot this next November of going up with additional council members. I talked to you about the percentage of the cities around us that have more, and we debated a little bit about the population, and there's a way to pull that up, and there's a way to pull it up for every city. Now, I just happen to have those in front of me. I apologize that you can't see them, but Paul will pull up a few of those things. From 2000 to 2010, Calhoun, Georgia, grew in population by 4,582 people. 10 years, 4,582. You thought, well, David, that's not much. Well, Rome, in that same time frame, only grew by 1,600. The city of Cartersville, which is a metro city, only grew by 3,967. That means Calhoun, Georgia outgrew those two larger cities. The Great Recession, Depression, whatever you want to call it, hit. We all saw the impact. You can't turn on a political ad on TV without seeing the consequences. It caused us to slip these next 5 years. The city of Calhoun was only up 633 people. That would be from 2010 to 2015. 633 versus 4,500 the last time. The city of Cartersville grew less, only 543. The city of Rome, which does a great job in a lot of different ways, actually lost 226 people. That shows you how big the recession was. Now, one other thing that is really interesting to look at, and Paul, will you be able to pull that up about jobs? That's cool. Look at it yourself. There it is, GMA dashboard. Go home and look at it yourself. I wanted to look at the jobs in the community because that's economic development, that's regional development. Manufacturing jobs here in Calhoun, Georgia, represent 32.7% of all our jobs. Manufacturing, 32.7. The city of Rome, it's only 10%. Most of theirs is where? Healthcare. We all know that. There's 28.3% of their jobs is in healthcare. And the city of Cartersville is at 28.2%. That's a lot of statistics, and nobody likes those probably but me. But it does paint a picture. If you look at it very closely, you can see trends. We talked today, and we'll be talking a little bit later, about some growth that's going to be going out at the Union Grove interchange, some large developments that are going to be coming on, the bypass that is cutting across that, and we'll even talk about the inland port that's going into Murray County. And guys, if you think that coupled with the Emerson project is not going to be growth for Calhoun and Gordon County, you're going to be off the mark, I'm afraid. So again, at your convenience, go look those things up and educate yourself on what's happening. Put a good guess into what you think is going to happen. It's all a roll of the dice. None of us have a crystal ball. But we try to focus not only on growth and planning, comp planning in particular, at Regional Commission, but we also have an outreach to the aged, Meals on Wheels, homebound clients, Alzheimer's support, care provider respite. So if you have someone in your family or neighbor or in your church that needs those services, reach out to Northwest Georgia Regional about that. And then finally, the last part of it is workforce investment, and that goes to the manufacturing jobs, and that goes to industrial growth and development. If, sadly, we have an industry leave, and we have periodically, everybody does. Case New Holland was the last one to leave. Calhoun made heavy earth-moving equipment. We missed that client because it had diversity that some of our other industries do not. But Northwest Regional Commission comes in and works with the technical college to retrain these displaced workers so that they can find income and jobs here in the community and not have to move. So those are 3 great assets. We pay for it. It's your federal tax dollars coming back into the region. We pay for it as the city council and the county commission with a percentage of funding based on population. So those are services that are there. Some people don't know about them, but they do a great job in our community. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. This time we'll have the public hearings. The public will have the opportunity to make pro and con comments with a 10-minute maximum time limit for each side of the matter, and with each person speaking having filed a financial disclosure statement 5 days prior to the hearing if required, and each person speaking also giving their name and address. This time I would ask if anybody on the council has had need of a financial disclosure statement concerning any of the agenda items.
No, sir.
Hearing none, we will move forward. The first public hearing is an annexation and zoning request of R1. This is for 1.32 acres, and the property is located at 106 East 40th Drive. The request is by Jack and Mary Jenkins, and the zoning advisory board did meet on May the 4th. And with that, at this time, we'll open the public hearing, ask if all the notices and legal requirements have been met.
They have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. This time, we'll ask for a report from the zoning advisory board.
Mr. Mayor, the board was in favor of the annexation and the zoning with the requirement that the homeowners would sign the acknowledgement regarding the limited fire protection due to the distance of the house from the fire hydrant.
All right, thank you very much for that. This time we'll ask for comments concerning the request for 106 East 40th Drive by Jack and Mary Jenkins. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion concerning the annexation.
I'll make a motion for the annexation and zoning. Oh, I have to do one at a time.
Annexation.
Each of those motions are subject to them signing an acknowledgement of the fire service with the question of the proximity. Okay. All right. And she made mention of that, but that, make that, include that in part of your
And
motion.
okay, so I make a motion for the annexation with the requirement that the homeowners sign the acknowledgement regarding limited fire protection.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed. Also, concerning the zoning for the same piece of property, and that would be for R1.
And I make the motion that we go ahead and,
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed. Next item is a public hearing on an annexation and zoning request of C2. This is for 14.81 acres. This is parcel number 058-060. The request is by Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. And likewise, the zoning advisory board met on May the 4th. This time, we'll open the public hearing and ask if all the notices and legal requirements have been met.
They have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Report of the zoning advisory board.
The board was also in favor of annexation and zoning request.
This time, we'll open the floor for comments, and we will begin with the applicant or their representative if they would have anything to say concerning the request.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. My name is Rick Sheffield, and I'm Vice President of Real Estate Development with Loves. And I've been involved with this project now for several months, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to get up here and request the annexation and zoning to become part of the city of Calhoun. I would respectfully request, though, that, I understand procedurally that there's another issue. We've also requested an annexation, we've also requested a variance for our signage. And because the property is under contract right now, if in the event that our project does not go through, the current owner of the property would prefer that the property not be annexed, assuming though that, we are okay with the requested variance and have been able to provide the necessary information to approve that. We certainly are in favor of the annexation and look forward to working with the city of Calhoun regarding the balance of this project, and certainly hope to be underway before the end of this year. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
All right. I think a lot of questions have been asked through the zoning advisor and earlier discussions, so I don't know of any at the moment, unless somebody else has some, but we appreciate that, and if we have any questions in a minute, we'll get back with you. Thank you. At this time, I'd ask if anybody else has any questions or comments concerning the zoning and annexation of the property.
I'm Deborah Owens. I live at 148 Timber Ridge Lane in Calhoun. And I own a business, Calhoun Industrial Properties, that is just south of where the proposed property is. And this is my building right here, and this is the proposed Love's property. And then I also own all this undeveloped acreage here. It's 22 acres. And first let me say that I support the annexation and rezoning. I think it's a wonderful opportunity and a great revenue generator for the city of Calhoun. My concern is, and what I'm asking for your help on, is dealing with the traffic issues. We already have a traffic issue down here as a result, and this was a DOT-created problem. And most of the people in this room remember when we used to have a four-way stop down here. And when we had a four-way stop, everything was fine. But when the new interchange went in, an unintended consequence of that, I believe, was now Union Grove is all the traffic has the right of way, and people coming from Bellwood and Bellwood and Johnson Lake, they have to pull out onto speeding traffic. And this Union Grove is going to become Highway 53 once the South Calhoun bypass is completed. So and my concern with the annexation is because this is coming into the city of Calhoun. This is a county road, this is a county road, and this is, I guess, if it's not already, it's going to be a state road. So who's going to address the traffic concerns? And my belief is it should be the DOT, because I believe that the DOT created this situation. They should have anticipated that this is going to be a high traffic area, and they should have put in a traffic signal here when they took away the four-way stop. So what I'm asking for is a traffic signal at this intersection that would allow all the traffic on Johnson Lake to be able to turn left, all the traffic from Bellwood Road, and of course, we have Bellwood School up here. The school buses are having to turn left too. So it would allow the left turning traffic from these two county roads to enter what is going to be a really highly traveled road. When it's a state highway, also, David mentioned the new inland port that's going in Murray County. This is going to be a natural feeder to that inland port. And money in our city, county, and it's gonna be revenue generated for our state as well. So I don't oppose it. I'm enlisting your help. We've got a problem. We need to get ahead of the curve, and I'm willing to do my fair share as an owner and a developer, because I would like to see this whole area develop. I think it's a huge potential revenue for our schools. We just gotta be forward thinkers and work together, and hopefully, you know, like I say, I would like to see the DOT, take the bull by the horns and fix this, because it's gonna put a lot of money in state coffers too, this development down here. So, I support the annexation rezoning, but we need to all work together and not let up the pressure on our state people to help us with this traffic problem.
Totally agree, Deborah.
Thank you.
Ms. Shipfield and I spoke last week. So I think as a group, all sides can apply some pressure, and we can get the DOT to make the adjustments that desperately need to be made. And I think everybody, including the city of Calhoun, will be at the table to try to make this happen and make it happen in a timely fashion. It's going to happen. DOT historically wants to do a survey, and there needs to be a problem before the survey says we need to have a remedy. We're trying to think about this and plan ahead and grow the economic growth wisely, so we'll stay on top of that. Mr. Sheffield, I know it was mentioned on Thursday at the zoning board. How many employees does your company hope to have employed there?
The final number is going to depend upon the final decision on the restaurants, which have not been confirmed by our partners. I would expect at a base minimum 40, and I really expect it closer to 60.
Very good, thank you.
Well, likewise, Deborah, just sharing your concerns, that we're all interested in safety, and any place you go with DOT, that's one of their main concerns. And with your concerns, I have spoken to our representative, John Meadows, about this more than once. There's also been talks with Dwayne Comer, with DOT in Cartersville, and some of his staff. So we are currently looking into your concerns and opportunities that could be shared with that, and I certainly appreciate your comments and concerns with that. And with that, I'd ask if anybody else has anything they would like to add to the annexation and zoning request by Loves.
You don't mind?
Yes, sir.
I'm Ed King. I'm just willing to say that I agree with what you're talking about, Deborah, and you're talking about. And I'm willing to do anything possible to try to help move it forward as fast as possible. I think with the combination of the city and county, Deborah's side, Love's side, and Shaw, we can just,
Okay.
benefit everyone.
Very good.
Great. Thank you for those comments. Anybody else? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion concerning the annexation of parcel number 058-060.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Does that need somehow to be contingent on the deal going through, since the current property owner has requested that if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, that he does not want to be annexed? So,
I think that's on the sign variance, is it not?
okay.
And we'll vote on that next.
Next item is a motion concerning the zoning request of C2.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion for the zoning request.
Make a motion for the zoning request to be approved.
Yes, I'm sorry, to be approved.
I second that.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Next item is public hearing for a sign variance request, also by Love's Travel Stops. It is for the same parcel, number 058-060. The sign variance request is for 160 feet for the height of the sign and the variance of 812 square feet for the face of the sign. Likewise, the zoning advisory board met on May the 4th. This time, we will open the public hearing and ask if all the legal requirements have been met.
They have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Report of the zoning advisory board.
Everyone was in favor of the variance.
This time, once again, we'll open it up for comments concerning the sign variance as read.
Mr. Mayor, council members, once again, I appreciate the opportunity. This sign variance is very important to us. Really, it's a big safety issue. The big thing about our business, of course, we have a lot of trucks that come and use our facility. And although billboards are available scattered out, there's really no substitute for our national sign that's recognized in 41 states across the U.S. And what we want to make sure is that the trucks for sure have the capability of seeing that sign and making a reasonable decision if they're in the wrong lane, to be able to slide over and safely exit these interchanges without doing it hastily and not creating a traffic potential problem. And unfortunately, with this particular site, we're not exactly on what I would call the pin corner. This site works great for us because the second most important thing is the ingress egress. And this site provides that, but we're pushed off of the side of the line of sight, which means that really in both directions, we're having obstacles with trees in the right-of-way, more so on the northbound than on the southbound, but it's problematic. And that's why we're requesting the variance for the high-rise sign. And to put it in perspective, it will be similar in size to the ones you've seen in Emerson. It will actually be a little bit smaller, because we tried to scale it down as much as we possibly could to minimize the impact of the requested variance. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about it.
Thank you very much. And with that, I would ask if anybody has any questions or comments concerning the variance request for the signage. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I make a motion for the sign variance request to be approved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Next item is first public hearing for the fiscal year July 1, 2017 through June 30, 2018 for the annual operating budget and capital plan. And we will begin this public hearing with the school board presentation. This time, we'll turn it over to Dr. Taylor.
Thanks, guys.
And now people are leaving, they don't want to hear our ribbon presentation. You're going to miss so much. I'll send you the PowerPoint.
Be right back.
We'll send you the
PDF.
notes in the PowerPoint. In your folder, you do have our proposed budget, and we're still working through some of the information to us, and we hope to have additional information there. You also have a comparison of our general fund budget, which compares fiscal year 17 and fiscal year 18 with our general fund revenues and expenditures there. If you'll notice on the proposed budget, basically our revenues increased by $1.4 million due to an increase in our QBE state revenue of $790,000 and an increase in local tax revenue of $656,000. The tax revenue is based on a 2% increase in the digest with a collection rate of 98%, and that's what we anticipate. The main increase in expenditures is due to mandated increases by the state, and you may be aware that the governor has approved a 2% increase to the state salary scale for certified employees. This budget shows a 2% increase for all Calhoun City Schools employees, which totals approximately $543,000. The employer portion of TRS, which is our teachers' retirement system, increased from 14.27% to 16.81%, and the budget impact is an increase of $455,000. The employer portion of health insurance for classified employees increased from $846.20 per employee per month to $945 per employee per month, for a total increase of $71,000. And you all are aware of the burden that it's placed on us to look at those health increases and cost per the employer. Every year, we have employees who receive an advanced degree during the year, and we budget for this increase to their salary and benefits. For FY18, the total for advanced degrees is approximately $84,000. So those areas are what you see as far as the differences in our general fund estimated revenues and expenditures. I would like to thank our Finance Director, Dee Risley, our Chief Financial Officer. It's her correct title. Dee's done a fabulous job of putting our budget together, and certainly appreciate the hard work of our board to look at these increases and what we can do to make adjustments and prepare for the FY18 budget. I would like to open it up if any of our board members would like to make any comments about the budget process. They're just happy to be here to support. I did not tell you not to say anything, Alvin. And David had to leave. But we do appreciate our Board of Education. They volunteer their time and work tirelessly for our boys and girls in Calhoun City Schools. Does the council have any questions?
I do. How did you, on transportation, you had $40,000 deficit, so I mean, that's $40,000 less than last year. How was that accomplished?
How was that accomplished? Well, looking at our transportation, we did have, as far as what we've predicted for next year, we are not able to do everything that we wanted to budget for in the upcoming year. We had to trim it. Actually, that took the biggest hit of our cuts looking at next year. We do desperately need a maintenance truck. We're not able to do that this next year. So, but transportation and maintenance were the areas that we...
It's always touchy, so I was kind of impressed, even though I know it's hard. I mean, sometimes always need a new bus.
We always need new buses. In fact, we have an aging fleet, and the amount of cuts that we've endured over the past 8 years has really affected our transportation. But we're very proud. Tom Griffith is our Maintenance and Transportation Director. He's done a great job through this budget process, and we appreciate his efforts as well. Any other questions?
We're discussing a lot of the same issues, and we're having to find cuts ourselves. What was it you said the health insurance did? Do you remember?
Let's see. Our health insurance, the employer portion of the health insurance for classified employees increased $846.20 per employee per month to $945 per employee per month, with an increase of $71,000. So that was a big impact for us as well.
Where do y'all want to be, 75-25, or do you have a ratio in mind on that?
We have no choice. So the state, we've been paying $945 per month for certified employees for a good number of years.
Right.
They've been increasing the classified, now they're exactly the same.
Okay.
It continues to be a budget issue for us in looking at the health insurance for all of our employees. But we've seen this train wreck coming, so we've been trying to prepare over the past several years to adjust and make allowances for that.
And this isn't a local issue, this is a national issue. Sure, absolutely.
Many of our classified employees work for the insurance, and
Yeah,
Did you ever run into issues with Obamacare? I mean, as far as the penalties or whatever with classifieds? Or, I know there was concern a couple of years ago at least.
It has been a burden on the reporting requirements.
Mm-hmm.
The time and the expense and the complication of just doing that reporting has really been a burden.
Doing the reporting because you have some employees who are meeting those requirements, or?
You just have to report on all employees.
Okay.
You know, whether they have the insurance,
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you. And the second public hearing will be on June the 12th, but we certainly appreciate everybody's attendance, and I join Dr. Taylor in saying thank you for your time and efforts, everybody, and volunteering your time and being involved in our education of our children. We all know the importance there. And with that, we will open the public hearing on the city's portion of the July 1, 17 through June 30 of 18. Ask if all the notices have been properly placed and given.
They have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Worley.
Thank you, sir. Well, we had a budget work session about 2 weeks ago on April 24th and had a lengthy discussion on putting this budget together. We've been working on it since February with the department heads, finance department, a lot of people involved to get us to where we're at today. There's been a lot of changes to the general fund, not as many to utilities. I'll probably just start off with some of the utility funds and hit a few of the highlights and then work into the changes on the general fund side. We're very fortunate this year in putting our water and sewer budget together that we've been able to utilize some GFA loan, low-interest financing to finance several of our large capital projects that we have recently completed or in the process of completing. Also, the 2005 SPLOST revenues have also been very beneficial in tackling a lot of the major capital cost and been able to do a lot of great projects to our sewer plant facilities and infrastructure within the city and county. Just looking at the revenues, we continue to struggle with some of the decrease in the sewer revenues with the industrial. We're this year budgeting about an 18% decrease in industrial sewer revenues. We do have about a 2% increase in residential and about a 5% in commercial. But the sewer fund is balanced at about $8.1 million. Also on the water side, we're also dealing with some of the loss in the industrial water usage. We have about a 20% decrease in some of the water usage on the industrial end. That's been able to cancel out some with the residential and commercial, about a 3% increase there. And the water fund is balanced at $12,955,000. Electric department is down about $1.1 million from last year, but that's basically on some of the wholesale purchase power that we anticipate. We won't be selling quite as much, but still we're at $37,631,000. We have an additional employee in this budget to be able to develop 2 four-man crews for Jeff DeFore and his guys to get more work done out there in a more timely manner, to be able to have 2 crews sent out instead of just the one. So that is a balanced budget. Also, the telecommunications, little change from last year, balanced at $1,186,000. The utility internal service fund is balanced at $3,041,000, and this is about a $100,000 decrease from last year's budget. The biggest challenge in the last 2 weeks that we've discussed, and we're given some direction by some of the council to come up with a plan. It was covered in the newspaper and in the work session 2 weeks ago that the initial presentation of the budget on the general fund, we were at a $456,598 deficit. So we were instructed to come up with a plan to try to find those cuts and additional revenues to balance that budget without a millage rate increase or going into reserves. And we've been working on that this last week or two, putting that plan together. And if you'll bear with me, it takes a few minutes to run through these changes, but there have been several changes since the last budget to come up with those savings. The first one is eliminating the salary portion of the city planner in the community development. So that cut out $68,000. We were able to reduce the mayor and council contingency fund from $100,000 down to $90,000. I mean $10,000 for a $90,000 savings. We cut out a position in our court services department. That's cut out $58,000. We have a budgeted increase in franchise fees and transfers from water and sewer of $57,000. That'll be additional revenue. We have a $3,000 decrease in the DDA advertising budget. We have a proposed change in policy with our DDA facade grant program. We have been funding that traditionally through our general fund revenues, and the DDA has a 0.5% of the hotel motel tax and would be able to fund that program going forward with hotel motel tax dollars, and that would save the general fund $15,000, but still be able to continue the program and possibly even increase the funding utilizing the hotel motel revenues. The local option sales tax collections have been trending up the past several months, so we feel comfortable with budgeting an additional $30,000 for lost, also increasing the anticipated back taxes, $20,000, 5% decrease in property and liability insurance for $5,000. We have a proposed increase of 10% on all our building permit fees, and that would generate close to $11,000, and this would still keep us within our competitors in our surrounding communities. We haven't had an increase on building permit fees since 2006. We have a proposal to remove the contributions to our nonprofit agencies that has been in the city's budget for many years. This would save the city $26,500, and this would be the funds that are donated every year to the Voluntary Action Center, the Art Center, Boys and Girls Club, Domestic Violence, and Winners Club. We have a decrease in our health insurance. 2 weeks ago, we were at about a 10% increase, and that has been driven down to 7.25 with a couple of changes to the plan with the increased deductibles, and that saves the general fund about $44,000. We are maintaining our current levels of staffing in the department for $43,000, reducing transfer to recreation by $2,300. We are decreasing our transfer to golf, our Fields Ferry Golf Club operation by $75,000, and the proposal here is to increase green fees by $2 and cart fees by $1. We feel like we have a good momentum within the golf course right now. It's in great shape, play's picking up, and we feel like that would be an appropriate increase on the green and cart fees. We also have a proposed decrease in fire, overtime, street, cemetery, and police, totaling about $30,000 with the fire, street, and police. To make this realistic in these cuts, we'll probably have to look at possibly cutting out some of our festivals and activities that generate the extra overtime for our public safety officials, such as the Fall Festival. We might have to forego that to be able to make those numbers. Also, we've decreased or cut $5,000 out of our patching in the streets and decreased fuel costs by $9,400. And that not only eliminates the $456,000 deficit that we had 2 weeks ago, that gives us about a $138,000 surplus. There's a couple things you could look at of completely eliminating the mayor and council's contingency fund, and that for an additional $10,000, and the council had also expressed interest about a 2% cost of living raise for the employees, and that would be about $148,000. So with that change, that would bring the total to about $148,000 on the general fund to be able to come to a balanced budget and also fund a 2% cost of living adjustment. And the only other change in the last 2 weeks, or there's been a few small changes on the utility side. There was a vehicle eliminated in the utility internal service fund for $27,000. And also, which we'll talk about under new business, is a proposed increase on outside rates on water and sewer that would generate $524,000 additional. But that revenue is being proposed to be designated in a designated fund for 4 projects within the county. And I believe that covers a good portion of the changes that have occurred in the last 2 weeks, and we'll be glad to entertain any questions or comments.
With that change, did I understand you to say we're basically $10,000 short in the general?
To be able to fund a 2%
Yeah,
raise.
To fund the 2% raise, leave us about $10,000 short. So if you took the $10,000 from the contingency fund, you would basically have a balanced budget.
Yes, sir, and enough to provide the 2% cost of living for
Yeah,
employees. Yes,
that's
sir.
right.
Let me make one other comment. This is a work in progress, and many thanks to the department heads as well as the executive staff for working on this. We are still struggling with the insurance. The increase of 10% is $300,000. So we're looking at what is reasonable for the percentages that our staff pay for employee coverage and for family. What are we paying currently right now? Do you know, Paul or Sharon?
7% single, 80.
What is that a month? Anybody got a clue?
$50 for single coverage and $211 for family.
Yeah. So we're going to have to make some moves, just like industry, government. We're going to have to make some moves. It isn't going to be comfortable. It isn't going to be fun, but we got to do it. But we want to be reasonable. We want to be fair, and we want to give a cost of living raise just like the state gave to the educators, and we want to do the same thing for the employees. But we've got to get a handle, just like, again, everybody across the nation, we've got to get a handle on health care. It's starting to eat up the vast majority of our budget. What are we at right now? $2.9 million annually? Is that ballpark, guys, for our coverage?
A little over 3.
Yeah, 3. Now, that's a lot of your budget that's going there. We all want it, and we all want improvements, but I'm afraid we're going to have to face some tough cuts. So we'll be talking about that in the next few weeks before we get back for the last budget meeting and come up with some reasonable numbers. And hopefully we can certainly turn in a balanced budget, and the pain will not be as severe as we hope.
I've been pushing for the last several years, probably 4 or 5 years, on trying to get the ratios better to no avail. We haven't done anything yet, and so I want to do it in steps where it wouldn't be quite the hit for the employees and stuff, but we're still being mindful of the employees on any kind of changes that we do on those things, just like the school system. So, if we're able to do raises and then increase their fair share helps pay for some of the deficit we have. So we're trying to be fair to the employees, but also mainly fair to the taxpayers.
But we talk about 3 communities. 20 miles around us are three communities. They're bigger. But Rome, Dalton, and Cartersville, all 3 of those are at 2575 on the family plan, which is pretty comparable, Eddie, to what we see in industry and you see in education. Now, that's a big move. So I'm fairly certain we won't be able to make that big of a move. But we need to get going toward that direction. And I think the average of those 3 is about, I think it's about 18 to 20% on employee coverage. We're at 8. So again, some movement will be made as we sharpen pencils and look at it. We'll try to be as fair to everybody as we possibly can and make it work for everybody.
And hopefully we don't have all the cuts that they suggested, like getting into overtime to not have the festivals or the other organizations that we have helped as well. So with that, they won't have their cuts, hopefully.
I think we're all concerned about insurance and price of insurance and the way it continues to go up. When it first came out this year, I think everybody, a concern of ours, the first proposal we got, I think, was at 26% increase. And so with that, with various changes and so forth, we were able to lower that to 10. And then with some additional changes, as Paul had mentioned, it went to 7.25. And as we discussed, I think there's several things that for all of us to consider when looking at these things. And when we talk about plans, the plans vary We don't know what the plan, what the structures are in Rome, Dalton, or Cartersville that's mentioned. When you take those, and I just glanced right here at what Cartersville's looking at, they have a $1,500 deductible, where I think ours was $2,500. Rome, in their plan, they're self-funded. And so in that plan, they also provide what I call a minute clinic, where you can see the doctor. They also have an opportunity for drug purchases and so forth. And when we look at these in any community too, we don't know what their formularies are for drugs. A lot of those are very restrictive. So it's kind of hard to compare where we are with where somebody else is. And also when we look at Rome and Dalton and Cartersville, I think we also need to look a block and a half down from City Hall at the county. And the county's at 7% employee and 7% family coverage. So I think that needs to be considered as well. And it's not mentioned, I think another consideration when it comes to looking at this is employee wages. You know, Mr. Peterson put out a thing about 2 weeks ago, I would say, on employee wages. And I don't have a cover sheet of that with me, but it was put out by DCA. And it looked at cities with populations between 10 and 20,000. And we fall basically right in the middle of that. And in those employee wages, we are well under that average in comparison. And I guess what I would like to see, if we're going to look at what Cartersville, Dalton pay on health insurance, I think it would also be good to get a comparison of where they are salary-wise compared to where we are salary-wise. Because I think that too should be considered when you're looking at increasing employee contribution.
Jimmy is absolutely right. It's complicated. You got to look at it. We went with a card a few years ago to offer an incentive on that deductible so that the city paid a large percentage of that deductible and the employee didn't have to. And we do have wage adjustments that we've been making over the last few years for the city of Calhoun, and there's still room to move. But of the 266 employees that we've got in the city of Calhoun, our payroll is $13,906.23. That's $48,900 a year average salary. Now, that's not every employee. That's average salary. So you got to do the math. You got to know what the numbers are. And you got to try to be fair to what the citizens that live in our community are living with in insurance cost. You saw me report on the wages up on the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. What was it? $38,000 is the average wage rate here in Gordon County and Calhoun, Georgia. So I wish there was a magic bullet to fix everything. There isn't. And while we got the school board here, let's talk about why we are looking at less revenue than we've had in the past. That was by design. We upped the Freeport from 20% to 80%. That was so industries would either stay here in Gordon County or locate here in Gordon County. Now, Whitfield County, Floyd County, Bartow County are at 100% Freeport. But when we made that move, that gave the industries that were already here an incentive that they would stay and keep jobs here. It's a balancing act. Alvin, you remember it from when you were a county commissioner. It's a balancing act, and you do the very best you can. But that has cost, anybody got the figure what that 60% cost the schools? Do you know, Dr. Taylor? Or? Yeah. I mean, there's no way, when you make adjustments in taxes, all you do is shift taxes. You're just shifting the burden. You still have to pay for the public safety, public works, operation of utilities, et cetera. So, you you've got a limited pot, and you gotta do as much with it as you can. But, you know, this group of five, you know, we have a diverse way of looking at things. We don't all look at it the same, which means we should be looking at it broader. By having difference of opinion on the table, openly talking and discussing, then we should be able to come to a pretty reasonable solution that meets as many of the needs as we possibly can.
Just piggyback on what Jimmy said too, I mean, that's one thing we can look at. I mean, looking at a 2% raise, but we might can go 3% raise to help compensate for the cost, 2.5% or 3%. That's why we have to play with the numbers and figure it out. So they can get more money, bring their salary more in line with other communities, but they're paying a better percentage of the ratio. So that's, you just gotta juggle it, play like we do all the other stuff. I mean, it's to make it more fair. Same numbers equal, still the same number, but it's just, and Andrea, last time, she had an idea to increase the card that David was talking about, and that's what got us the 2.5% or more down on the health insurance. I mean, it saved us another $50,000. And then with Johnny, with the health insurance, I mean, like Jimmy said, 20-something%, and now it went down to 15, then he got it down to 10. I mean, so he's been pushing hard for Calhoun to not have to go up. So there's been a lot of people trying to get this budget in line.
And the other part, and Linda's not here, but Linda's done a really good job of trying to meet with our department heads and our employees and encourage healthier lifestyles, whether that be removing tobacco use, increasing exercise, watching your blood pressure, watching your sugar levels. You do that because these increases come because of what our payout is. If we have catastrophic health care costs, you're going to have catastrophic health care increases.
And for us, I mean, last year, y'all know the numbers, I don't have them right in front of me, but the insurance company lost, what, $600,000 last year on us? I mean, $300,000 they lost money on us last year. So that's why they have to go up, because it costs them to have us as a customer.
Now, that's one of those things I'll debate. I don't think insurance companies lose money, but that's neither here nor there.
You know, I just point out points, make a point here and there. And when you're looking at employees with a city and you're looking at single coverage going from $50 to $116 and family coverage, and this is what's been suggested. Family coverage going from $211 to $418. I think you need to really look at where you are and look at where you are from a salary standpoint as well. And I know if all of you looked at those numbers, almost every position that was on that, and there were like 65 or 70 positions on there, almost every one of those was down, and some of them were down considerably, several $1,000s. So I just point that out for your consideration moving forward. Once again, at this time, if there are no other comments, I'll ask if anybody has any comments. With that, I'll close the public hearing, and the second public hearing will be held on June the 12th, and we invite all of you to come back. I know part of you will. Okay. And with that, the first reading, we have the first reading of an annexation and zoning request. This is for R1. It's for .69 acres at a location of 224 Shadowwood Drive Southeast. The request is by Patricia and Moses Lopez. The Zoning Advisory Board meeting was scheduled for June the 8th. Public hearing will be on June the 12th. Also have the first reading of an annexation and zoning request. This request is for R2. It is for 1.341 acres on Harmony Estates, in Harmony Estates for Tract 1, parcel number 056A-206 for .149 acres, tract number 2, parcel number 056A207, and for 4.445 acres, tract number 3, parcel number 056A208. Also, 0.477 acres by Hunter Nat. The zoning advisory board meeting is scheduled for June the 8th, and public hearing is on June the 12th. And I'm sorry, that request is by Hunter Nat. Also have the first reading of a zoning request. This request is for PRD. It is for 8 acres. It is located, it is parcel number CG46-106B. It is located on Salem Road. Request is by Hand Up Housing of Gordon County. Zoning Advisory Board meeting is scheduled for June the 8th, and public hearing will be on June the 12th. Also, we have the first reading of a variance request of 500 square feet. This is to reduce the required minimum square footage from 800 square feet to 300 square feet. And this is also parcel number CG 46-106B, once again on Salem Road, and this is to allow affordable housing. It's also by Hand Up Housing of Gordon County. Once again, Zoning Advisory Board on June the 8th, public hearing on June the 12th. Also have the first reading of the updated 2017 City of Calhoun zoning map. First eligible date for a public hearing would be on May the 12th. Do I have a motion to set on May the 12th?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Also have the first reading for amendments to the Calhoun utility rate resolution. Changes that will include a 14% rate increase for outside the city water and sewer rates, and a 5% wholesale account increase, and it includes all water meters that are subject to the appropriate monthly minimum charge. Mr. Worley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We discussed this at the first meeting in April, touched on it a little bit, and so now we've been able to develop and amend the rate schedule accordingly. For those that weren't here for that discussion, the city underwent a review of water systems within the North Georgia to see where they were at compared to ourselves on the inside-outside ratio of water rates. And what this basically means is how much higher percentage-wise does a county resident pay for water and sewer service versus a city resident. And we found that it's about 57% higher is the average within the North Georgia area, and the city of Calhoun is currently at 36%. So we had a good ways to move to get us within line of the region average, and that's what this 14% increase on outside the city would do, would get us more in line. Even with that proposed increase, that still keeps us within the bottom 30% of low-cost providers in North Georgia. The only ones that are lower than us are Dalton Utilities, and there's a few very small water systems. So we're still very competitive and cheap compared to a lot of the other water systems that we're looking at. Some of the reasoning that we discussed for the justification of the increase is just the inherent cost of what it costs the city of Calhoun to provide those services throughout the county. When you think about the distances and the density, much more sparse development within the county, so you have fewer homes tied on to more miles of line. Those more miles of line equal to more pumping cost, electricity cost, maintenance cost, to be able to maintain those lines, water tanks. Just a lot goes into the infrastructure to be able to provide that quality drinking water throughout the county. So we are proposing this 14% in this proposed utility rate. These funds would be designated for county projects. Some of the revenues that we raise from this, one of our top priorities is to build a new water tank in the Ranger area to provide more capacity on the east side of Gordon County. There's several other projects that we would like to accomplish with some of these dollars. For years, the city's been undergoing a 2-inch galvanized line replacement. A lot of our old infrastructure is in pretty bad shape, and we've made, great strides in this area, but there's still a lot of lines in not only Gordon County, but a lot of the outlying municipalities in Fairmount and Plainville and these areas that we would really like to do some improvements. So this will give us the avenue to have some dollars towards those projects, and it keeps us within line with our surrounding areas with the inside-outside ratio, and would keep us in a more competitive stance to where we could finance some of these projects without having to borrow and from different sources. So that would be the proposal. The effective date in the rate resolution, if approved as presented, is June the 1st.
I'll talk a little bit about the number of meters, minimum charge, and what you've discovered there and what that will do.
Yeah, that's also on the agenda, that there's some verbiage. Our Water and Sewer Director, Jerry Crawford, was able to add some verbiage in there to ensure that all ratepayers that have multiple meters are charged properly for the number of meters that they have for their facility. We have some accounts where they were being charged just by account instead of by the meter, so we were amending some of that verbiage to ensure that we were able to identify those and apply those costs appropriately.
Going back to the rate increases, it's just a cleanup effort, because really we had the ratio this way several years ago, and it was just discovered that it had gotten out of whack, and so they've actually had a benefit of lower prices, and it's just getting it back to where we already had it in line before.
That's correct. I think back in the early 2000s, it was probably above the ratio, and there was some efforts to bring that back in line. But somewhere around 2006 or 2007, that brought it down to 1.36, to where I think the goal is to have it around 1.5. So it dropped it a good bit below what the industry standard is.
And just a little additional history on that, I believe, I would say that it is justified. When it first started through the 489 agreement and service delivery, it was at 1.5%. We had, I believe it was Peoples and Quigley, an engineering firm that did a lot of calculations on that as to what the actual justification for some of those rate differentials were. And I believe it's been several years ago, but I would say it came back about 2 times rather than 1.5. But we said at 1.5 at the time as the rate differential, and somehow along the way, as Paul says, I always thought it had something to do with some changes in some minimums, and it's just completely continued to change from that. But if you think about the things he says and about the service delivery and the different things, and I think the studies will show it far exceeds the 1.59 or 7 that we're looking at right now. And so, with that, I think there's plenty of justification to where that would be.
I would recommend, or we could have a second reading at the next meeting before implementation on June 1st. And one thing that I did want to mention too, we did an analysis of what that would mean in dollars, and we just looked at a typical residential bill of about 5,000 gallons in a month, and that would increase a residential bill by $2.18 per month with that 14% proposed increase.
All right, it is a public hearing, so I would ask if anybody has any questions or comments. And like I say, I'll be eligible for a vote at the next meeting. With that, Mr. Worley.
I don't have anything additional, Mayor.
No need for executive session that I know of. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you once again for your attendance.